such an asshole.
All right, we got a good question. Anonymous writes, background, male, upper 30s, never married, no kids, no intentions of changing either. Data scientist, remote worker, master's degree, six-figure salary starting 22, 40,000 left to student loan and car debt. Why do you have a car? Why do you have a car? Been living in Vegas for about the last 5 years with a gap of living on the road for a year and a half of that. I like traveling, and Vegas has been a great base of operations to explore the Southwest. What is your opinion of the long-term viability of living in Vegas? A, given the water supply restrictions. B, and we'll go through them one by one here. All right, so the water supply, where'd it go? There it is. Not without going into a lot of details, but there's been a drought caused by natural weather conditions. The liars will tell you it's global warming, and then it's global cooling, but no, it's just been a drought. And then there's been a lot more people moving into towns and areas that live off of the Colorado and Green River basins. It is not merely Lake Mead, but it goes all the way up into Wyoming, all the way up onto the Continental Divide on the Rockies. And depending on how much snow and rainfall that entire area gets ultimately determines how much all the other towns along it, like Moab, I think, Grand Junction, Page, what else? I think St. George kind of relies on it a little bit. That comes off the Virgin River, and obviously Vegas, and further downstream Laughlin, and then my geology gets a little iffy. And it's not just that, but I think Phoenix has to worry about it. They got Lake McDonald. Yeah, there's been a drought, and Lake Mead is very low, and they're worried about these different things. Now, Vegas specific, we had to look into this. They recycle every bit of water that comes here. In other words, the town is quite water independent, more so than would be other towns. So if there's a big major metro in the Southwest that is dependent, Vegas would still be it. But if that dam gets low, yeah, they're going to have drastic cutbacks. You also can't rely on, unfortunately, if you look at the geography, we should have been building desalination plants, because another state that takes a lot of water out of the Colorado River is California. And they could have been off the Colorado River system if we built desalination plants, but a bunch of liberal white Karens who are awful, look it up, there's an acronym, a bunch of liberal women who, it was more literally look it up, they didn't want to kill plankton in a specific area where the salt would be reintroduced back into the ocean. So California, I mean, to get anything done there, is now still dependent on the Colorado River basin. And so, whereas this could have, if we had those nasty 1940s and 1950s engineers and nerds, all the Ward Cleavers of the world, I think he was a civil engineer, we would have had tons of desalination plants. We would have had, there wouldn't have been any water problems. But yeah, you got to kind of worry. And I know Vegas, they put the pipes down lower so they could get new water if necessary. And yes, there's some hope, not some hope, some legit, like the river is up higher, this year than it was a mere month ago. It was like up 4 or 5 feet. And, right now they have not record snowpack, but a way above historical average snowpack up in the mountains. So we'll see what happens to Lake Mead after that. But long-term, yes, you would have to worry about that. I'm sure they put in watering restrictions and this and that. I don't think they're going to let a town of 2 million people go, but no joke, Democrats would. So you have that. So the best way to do that is to not buy property in Las Vegas if you're that concerned about it. And if you have it and you're that concerned about it, yeah, you could move out to. See, the problem is if you go to Utah, you want to go to St. George. St. George might be all right, but I'd be looking at places where you could still be in Nevada, like maybe Reno. There's not a lot of places in Nevada, so you can maintain the no state income tax. I'm trying to think if there's like little towns like Boulder has first rights access, I think. Pahrump, which is they're on wells. But yeah, that whole Southwest, that's you're going to face the same problem in Phoenix, unless it's a small town near a large water source. That's a concern. So if you want to hedge it, I would rent. If you have a house and you're really concerned about sell, my buddy owns the place. He likes the house. He doesn't care. Of course, he makes a fair amount of money. But if it was me, I'd probably be selling. I'd be like, yeah, this is because you're dependent on Californians doing something to help out the rest of the country. They can't even help out themselves. Nevada also is turning purple, and it will inevitably go blue. Their lockdown restrictions, it shows you that the Democrats were completely not in touch with how the Vegas economy works. I still like Vegas, though. Definitely if you're a younger man. But I would, do I want to be here 20 years from now? No, probably not. I would probably not want to be here 20. I might still come like for wintertime, sure. Or if you had like a small little house that wasn't too big of a thing, you didn't worry about it, don't have your palatial estate, have it be like your Southern Command, small little place that you can live in. But it is going to happen where not only California is not going to manage its water resources correctly, and the Democrats, I don't think, are going to do it. And we're completely dependent on luck, meaning the weather. I mean, the Hoover Dam could be overflowing in 3 years. Who knows? But long term, in other words, I wouldn't worry so much about the water right now as much as I would about Californians and government policies here in Nevada and Las Vegas, making it that does turn into a California. That's what I'd be more concerned about. All right, B, will this place eventually just turn into California? No state income taxes, don't relax gun laws are two big reasons I stay. But the state is becoming blue overall. Maybe the new governor will actually do something good for the state, but TBD, to be determined. Oh, to be determined, yeah. Here's the main point of the video and the topic. The United States is all going to become California. Now, is it going to be nothing but a bunch of homeless people pooping in the streets? Maybe not that bad, but you have to understand that California is simply the symptoms of the underlying problems of America, the population, and that is ultimately laziness. And maybe California is ahead of this. Maybe they instituted policies. I know they instituted policies that would allow the lazy to grow and fester. But I mean, look at the younger generations. I think it's what the Zoomers, only 15% are proud to be Americans. I think 68% of millennials are on some antidepressant or some kind of psychotropic drugs. You have labor force participations that are super low. Everyone, oh my God, the immigrants. Oh my God, the minorities. I'm like, the immigrants are working, just so you know. And the only reason you guys got roofs is because of our friends from Mexico, which again, I'm against illegal immigration. I'm just pointing out some facts. Forget immigrants or minorities or whatever else. Look at your rank and file. Look at the younger people. If you want to look at a trait, look at groups of people by age. And young people just are not capable of working. I mean, everyone's capable of working. You starve them. Like, no, you don't get EBT or food. Right? They'll work. They'll discover a work ethic. But right now, I mean, we are so the country is understaffed and underskilled. And they also have no work ethic. They have no ethics or value system programmed into them, except what their teachers and their parents gave them, which is parasitism and victimhood and entitlement. And fine, California is a leftist crap hole. Fine, New York is a leftist crap hole. Dude, we're all going to go like Colorado. I'm fully prepared that South Dakota is going to go blue. I may not see it in my lifetime, but it's going to go blue. And we're all going to become California. Right? Not because California is exporting its values, but because the younger generation is California. The younger generation is mentally ill. They have above all, though, it has no work ethic. And so that's just going to The old people will die off, and then here comes Madison or Tanner, and they inherit Grandpa Filbert's farm. Do they know how to farm? No. Ironically, they're on EBT. They wouldn't know how to fix a diesel engine or program the combine to go and plow the fields. And so you're going to have this not today or tomorrow, but in a generation or two, we're all going to be like, go to Mexico history. Don't know how much you care. The PRI was the dominant political party. They had a mono uni political system with the PRI. So much so that they started making fun of it, called the Dinosaur Party. And it was horrendously corrupt and all that. There are countries, look at Sweden. Sweden just, ooh, you're the more socialist group. You have countries where it's just dominantly, to use American terms, Republican or Democrat. But usually inevitably devolves into Democrat Party, Socialist, Labor, because they get the better offer. They're offering ice cream and laziness and sloth. And so those policies largely embodied with California, although California is effed and has some truly psycho policies, but it's coming to a town near you. And so don't worry about California. Go to a school. Look at your kids. Look at your nieces and nephews. Look at what they're spewing. So yeah, that's going to happen. It's like, where is it going to happen the least? Utah does have a little bit of a buffer with the Mormons. Alaska has a buffer with its remoteness. But Nevada, yeah, it's going to go blue, of course. The real issue with Nevada, though, is kind of like Washington State. Washington State has no state income tax either. But Washington people, being the self-loathing white people, that Pacific Northwest, like there's white people that hate themselves, but then there's white people that really hate themselves, and it's in the Pacific Northwest. That I don't know if it's in the air or the lack of sun, or maybe there's a genetic thing they shoot up. But if you wake up in Portland and you're a white guy, you're like, man, I kind of hate myself. That's not enough. You got to go to the lab, get the super self-hatred serum. Man, I really hate myself. And they really hate the fact that their state has no state income tax. But it's written in the Constitution. But they'll find a way around it. And I'm sure Nevada will find a way to get rid of its gun laws. They'll find a way to have an income tax. And it's just, you think it's, what happens to this one? It's going to happen everywhere. And it's just simply like, where do you move to hold it off? See, there have been a string of break-ins and robberies in the Summerlin area. Oh, Summerlin, trouble in paradise. Really? Since October 2022, there's small hands of homeless. Where in Summerlin is that? I go to Summerlin very regularly because I like hiking out in the Red Rock area. Where in Summerlin are the homeless people? Like, is it East Side Summerlin? Living on the streets in Summerlin neighborhoods. That depends on how. I would assume Summerlin is red, but who knows? The new, young, rich, and wealthy, they have virtue signaling. This happened in Minnesota. Like all the suburbs went blue because trophy wives, now it's my generation, younger even, they're starting to move out to the suburbs and they start voting blue. They start voting Democrat. So did Summerlin vote Democrat? What are you going to do about it? I mean, that's more telling. If your local town starts voting Democrat and you got city councils that are Democrats, get the hell out. Yeah, absolutely. And if they allow for homeless in the streets, yeah, get out. Get out. I like the weather and proximity to outdoor activities, but I can get that in St. George too. But again, the water supply concerns. The desert just doesn't seem like a smart place to put down roots and live the rest of my life. I hate being around conservatives and Christians just as much as I hate being around liberals. So I'm effed wherever I go. Ultimately, I think I should stay put until my debt is paid off and then try to go to Texas or Tennessee. Well, you have water in Tennessee. I want to avoid harsh winters, but if I can get over that, Maine or New Hampshire could be really good options too. Decent hiking. Well, reasonable drive up. Maybe I should just hit the road again and live in different places for a bit. That's what I recommend you do. Vegas fits the bill for what I want, but I think 10 years from now, this place is going to be a complete liberal cesspool. Any advice on where I should go would be much appreciated. Okay, so If you haven't already, link below is Reconnaissance Man. I think you just need to go and travel a little bit more. Sounds like to you what's very because you're remotely employed, so that's your biggest advantage. You could live wherever you want, and it would take some research on finding, like looking up the municipal data and talking to, the waterworks department. It's going to be boring, but it's going to be important. It doesn't sound like you have to live at a big major metro. And as long as you got internet access, you could do your job, right? So why do you have to live in a big major city? There is no doubt somewhere between Utah, Colorado, Nevada, and Arizona, there's got to be a town that is not that big, is not downstream from a major metro, and gets more than enough water coming out of the mountains. I'd be thinking something like Grand Junction, Colorado, Moab, St. George could be one of them. Cedar Point, Cedar City, or Kanab. Have you thought about Kanab? That's what I would do if you want to stay near the mountains and the hiking. Well, just be the mountain that's upstream from Denver, or mountain town that's upstream from Denver, or Montrose, Delta. You really want you want to have a lot of water? Do you want to? It seems to me you want a lot of water. You want a lot of water and be left alone. I don't know if they got internet, but go to Gateway, Colorado. That might be too remote for you, though. But yeah, I don't think you should abandon the American Southwest if you really like it here. I don't think you should abandon canyons and mountains. Because there's no water in Vegas. You don't think there's going to be water in Vegas. I'd say just find a smaller or medium-sized town. St. George, I mean, that whole corridor, I-15, there's plenty of towns you could check out. I'm just trying to think. Moab, yeah. I mean, there's where do you go? And Arizona's big enough. Payson, you might want to consider that. Flagstaff, they're right by Mount Humphreys. They get plenty of water. But do your research, travel around. And then that way you don't have to. And man, I wouldn't go to New Hampshire or Maine. That's just cold, and lots of snow. But you're really worried about the water. Florida and Tennessee would be fine too. I just think you could still have the mountains and live out here if you wanted to by going to a smaller town. And don't that town's in the middle of the desert. Look around it. Like Pahrump is a perfect example. Pahrump's got nothing but a bunch of mountains around it. And fine, yes, it is in the desert, but those mountains do get water. Water does come down off that mountain and it goes into the aquifer below. So you could have they're all on wells. But then you got to start looking at population growth and things like that. So I would, if you don't want to be in Vegas, I can understand the crime. It's kind of funny, this crime in Summerlin. I thought it was just like, I'm not yet calling Summerlin the Edina of Vegas. I'm not yet, because it's too new. The people there work too hard. But it's just so pretty. Just so pretty. I've met people in Summerlin. They're nice people. I've never met an arrogant person in Vegas. It's like the antithesis of Minnesota. All right, there you go. So that's my opinion. But yeah, kind of keep an eye, obviously, on the news and the snowpack. Maybe this is it'll be done for the next 5-10 years. Maybe we get, 3 years. But that's hope. Oh, hopefully things turn around with the weather. I'm not waiting on hope. All right, let's go to the super chats here. Well, let me make sure I got all your questions. 10 years from now, it's be a complete liberal cesspool. Yeah, it sounds like you're more concerned about the people. And I agree with you. California, Las Vegas is definitely going to become a cesspool with all the Californians moving here. It's a constant rear guard action. I mean, just yesterday, I put together my list of Asian countries I got to go visit, and there's not that many because of the various restrictions. And Cambodia, how's that place? It's under a communist dictatorship. Probably not going to go there. Yeah, okay, so we got that. All right, let's go to the super chats. Atham Aldecchio, $2. Joey King is hotter than Michelle Obama. No, I can't. I disagree. Michelle Obama's a prettier woman. I haven't seen her recently. You're not gonna look. You guys aren't gonna get me on this. You could get me on it. You're gonna convince me otherwise. She was a feminine woman who dressed in dresses. She just look at her. Look, okay, maybe you don't like her. Ha ha, she's got a dick. All right, fine. Just look at the dresses Michelle Obama wore and tell me what you'd pay to have regular American women. Now, okay, thin, attractive American women wear those dresses again. How much you pay to have that fashion come back? I don't like Obama, either of them. But the one thing you can say, nuclear family, and Barry did like his daughters. They probably spoiled them rotten, but they stayed together. They seemed like a nice, happy family. And, it's so rare to have a nuclear family and a father invest in their children. You can't fault them on that. And his wife wore dresses. Product of Crook County, 7963. How is the Ubering going? $2. Chicago is Midwest Cali, just more grimy. Pray for me. Yeah, see, at least California's got good weather. Chicago, holy cow, there's no. Dr. Khan blog, $5. Ward Cleaver's job was never revealed, but worked for a trust company. Maybe it was the episode where he told his son, like, we were engineers, because Beaver said that he was a submarine commander. His dad's like, I wasn't a submarine commander. I was a road surveyor. We did the measuring for the roads. It was a really boring, mundane job. So I always thought he was a civil engineer. Wonder if June ever died at a landing strip. She seemed to be the type that would do that. She loved her husband. Oh my God. Celebrity guest appearance by Erica Shanta Williams. Check out Erica. 20 generous dollars. This is where the Latinos are coming in, buying housing, starting businesses. Their wealth went up 13% in 3 years. Trade school is going to make bank. You're damn right. And here's another thing. Oh, you worry about the immigrants. And I agree, culturally speaking. The immigrants, they seem to be the tradesmen, the families, and now they're the homeowners. And you know what? They don't have to buy a fancy home because they can fix their own damn home. It is such a joke that, the stereotypical college girl will have nothing to do with the man who can build a home. Meanwhile, you bitch and whine. There's a bunch of pussies in New York. Oh, I play the lute. I belong to a Dungeons and Dragons band. We play at coffee shops on the Upper East Side, and we dressed in character. I just wish the Latinos would start to realize, hey, you're starting to look like Republicans here pretty soon. And soon they're going to take away that nice little piece of property you built for yourself. Yeah, because it's nicer than other. Yeah, you keep voting Democrat. But immigration, glad you escaped your Latin hellhole to come here to vote back in your Latin hellhole. That's great. Yeah, congratulations. But yeah, you are right. They're working. There's one we're waiting for him to get off his lazy ass and go become a chemical engineer. One of these, oh yeah, the old, I'm going to become a chemical engineer. Sure. Oldsub DJ Aftershock, $5. To be frank, the right took control of Sweden with the latest risk dog election, and the socialists are the minority. Oh, okay. So but my point is, how long of a run did boy, here's where I'm a nerd. Vicente Fox. It goes back to the 90s. The PRI was in charge in Mexico for like 70 years. And I think it was Vicente Fox's party that dethroned him. Then I think they went back to the PRI. Yeah, because they got, who's the guy? They got an outright socialist now. So that's good work for you Mexicans. That's great. Yep. You did good. You did good there. But there was a 70-year run. So the socialists were in charge of Sweden for what, 70 years? Younger people voted right, old voted left. Interesting. I don't know. Maybe they're sick and tired of getting forcible bedroom fun raisined, because raisins are dried up. Huh? I'm just going to call them, they got raisined. Wholesome DJ Aftershock, for $5. Actually, Nevada is trending right from blue purple to red purple, according to the data. The Unions Plus Read machine are still keeping Dems afloat in Nevada. Okay, cool, but there are homeless. Maybe Fremont Street obviously is not a representation, but I go to Fremont Street, this is just about like the municipality of Vegas. If you're in the suburbs, okay. But man, I took TJ to the Fremont Street. I'm like, oh, all right. If the bleep hits the fan and it's winter, I got to deal with these people. All I got to do is make it to Highway 15. All I got to do. That it. There we go. Okay. Questions, answers, assleconsulting.com. Link below is a link to Reconnaissance Man and Enjoy the Decline. And that's about it. Hire a Mexican-American chemical engineer. Toodles.